But there were people that came in. She got commenters from Australia and from across the United States and Canada, and she still gets comments every now and then from someone saying, "Thank you so much for this blog. It's great. I made it through my grade 7 math because of this," which is, and I just forward that over to Ellie, and she loves that. She's in grade 8 now, and in grade 8, she struggled through grade 7. In grade 8, she did really well, and she's going to have, I know, a better year in grade 9. But she was failing grade 7. And in grade 8, she's one of the students at the top of the class. It's not me. It's Ellie. Ellie did the work. All I did was provide her with the tools to make it happen. And now my son is using her blog too. Starting grade 5 this year. Starting grade 6. Anyways, yeah, I teach at Daniel McIntyre Collegiate. I'm the department head of mathematics there. And I've been blogging with my students for about 3 years. What I'm hoping to do over the next couple of days is, I was just in Boston at the Building Learning Communities Conference, Alan November's conference in Boston. And it's a really wonderful conference. You get people from all over the world there. And one of the things that bothered me about the conference was the people who were kind of there learning for the first time, a lot of the conversations seemed to center around the tools. You know, I got to figure out Flickr, and I got to figure out, wikis, and I got to get a blog. And while all of that is true, that's not what the conversation's about. A tool is just that. It's a means to an end. And so when doing workshops like this, there's kind of a difficult balance to find because the tools are new. Yeah, we do need to learn that. But I would really like to spend some time talking about pedagogy. Like, okay, the tools do this, but what does that mean for teaching and learning? And we're going to look at some sessions a little later on that, well, these new tools are coming out every week. There's something new. So when this new tool comes out, how do you start to think about that in a pedagogical sense? And that's what I really hope to talk about over the next 2 days. I'm going to start off with maybe how you're feeling, or at least how this teacher's feeling. We don't have audio. Give me a second here. Can we amplify this in any way?
Need speakers?
Oh yeah, we just got to plug them in, right? Okay. Here we go.
No, Dottie, just remember, anxiety about change is really just a fear of losing control.
But Dr. Bond, that's just it. I have no control. None. Not an ounce of it. I've been in elementary education for 23 years, and I've seen open classrooms and back to basics, whole language, hooked on phonics, higher standards, low standards. You do your thing, but don't do that thing. Assertive discipline, no discipline, student-based education, outcome-based education, mastery learning, master teachers, merit play, mentoring programs, peer coaching. I've done it all!
Now technology, right? So everyone feels that way. And when we look at our classrooms are kind of surrounded by these brick walls. So what is technology going to do for our classrooms? Well, one of the things technology does is it opens up windows into the world. That through the use of technology, our kids can look at windows of our classrooms and see things that they hadn't seen before. But even better yet, it removes those walls so that the world can come in and see what's happening in your classroom. Now, the world might be just your community. It might just be the parents and teachers in the community in which you're teaching. But when you leverage the audience that is local, that if you're doing something different and if you're doing something that's unique, if you see your classroom as a laboratory where I'm trying to see, okay, what's the next step? How can I kind of amplify what my kids are doing and my kids learning? Then the world may visit your class and come in. Now, that can be scary, having the world come into your classroom, because teachers are, not all teachers, but sometimes we're more comfortable with what's called a walled garden. You want the kids to kind of have an impression that it's a little bit, there's some wildness there, there's some wildlife growing, but in fact, it's carefully tailored and tamed, and we've kind of got them enclosed in these walled gardens. But when you take the walls away, then you open the door to serendipity. Connections that you can make with people, with students, with teachers, and never mind that. What about with experts from outside? Whatever you're teaching, through something like Skype, and we'll talk some more about this briefly, you can actually have an expert in whatever it is you happen to be teaching. A politician, if you're teaching social studies. A biologist, if you're teaching biology. You can have them join your class on a daily basis. When we're teaching kids, I often like to use the analogy of learning how to swim. One of my favorite quotes to my students is, math is not a spectator sport. And learning in general is not a spectator sport. It's not just math. You don't learn by watching. So if you're sitting at the side of the pool, you're not going to learn how to swim, no matter how many excellent swimmers you watch. You've got to jump in the water and swim around. Now, there may be someone there to kind of help you along the way and guide you, right? Catch your fall. But that's when the kids start to have fun. And why are they having fun? Because that's real learning, right? This isn't. Not just what we teach, but how we teach it is important. Get into the water. Because not only are we teaching the kids, and I know you guys, I can't tell you how impressed I am with the work Dave and Joe have been doing, and the work you guys are. I'm so floored with the number of blogs and online. Some of you have really rich environments that you've created online. The purpose of doing this is not just what we do, but how. Because what they're going to have to learn, they're also going to have to unlearn and then learn how to learn again. You've heard the quote, right? We're preparing students for jobs that haven't yet been created to solve problems that we don't even know are problems yet, using technologies that haven't been invented yet. I think an important part of this is metacognition. In order to leverage those powers, and I think it's something that's often left out of the conversation, that when you're planning your lessons and you're planning how to work with your students, metacognition is a really important piece of that. In what ways are you going to orchestrate their learning experiences so that they're thinking about the content, but also how they're wrestling with the content?